Florida State Seminoles, man, they've got big aspirations this coming season. There's a lot on the table for them. College football playoff is within reach. ACC title feels within reach. Those are going to get here when they get here. The fall is going to be a blast. But let's talk about the spring game first, because I think there's some things that deserve addressing. Florida State, true to what Mike Norvell has done there so far, went to the portal again, wrecked shop, got themselves some players. I want to see how they mesh. They went and got 10 transfers, a couple of big-name guys. Jaheim Bell, the tight end from South Carolina, who was a tight end only on the roster. He played receiver. He played wildcat quarterback. He played running back. Going to play tight end for Florida State, as we didn't really see him do a ton at South Carolina, or maybe as much as South Carolina fans would have liked. Fentrell Cypress, all-ACC corner at Virginia. Sounds like both him and Jaheim Bell have been shining during spring practice. I'm fired up to see them in 11-on-11. Darrell Jackson, transfer from Miami, defensive lineman. He's been wreaking havoc all spring. Quarterback's not going to be live for obvious reasons, but Darrell Jackson, what does he look like? What is that push we're getting up front if we're the defensive line at Florida State? And that's going to be something to watch, too, for Florida State. The defensive line is going to be a factor, and the depth of the defensive line, I should say, is going to be a factor. Because you got the players. If you can stay healthy, Florida State's going to be a problem. Now, the reason why this is important for all these guys and to see how they mesh and to see how they're up to speed within the team, the potential impact of all of these guys is very, very high. To achieve the goals that Florida State has set before them, they're going to need these guys to be a home run in terms of what they provide on the transfer portal side. Because all of them can play. They were all ranked where they were ranked in the portal cycle for a reason. Do they integrate well to the team? Do they mesh well with what they want to do schematically? The spring game will give us a feel for that. Not an absolute, give us a feel for that. Is Jaheim Bell playing in the slot as well as having his hand in the ground? Fentrell Cypress, how does he look running one-on-one with a Johnny Wilson? I'm excited to watch that. Darrell Jackson, what's the push we're getting up front, like I just said? For Florida State, like I just said, for Florida State to get to where they want to go, they're going to need these guys to play big roles. Okay, they didn't just bring them in to be role players. They brought them in to have an impact. How much of an impact? We just get a peek at it in the spring football game. Really quickly, make sure you're subscribed to this On3 YouTube channel. We talk ball here every single day. Florida State fans, we love y'all, man. Y'all have been rocking with us here for a minute. So shouts out to y'all. And if you haven't yet subscribed, now's the time. We talk ball here, like I said, every day. Talk about your Noles a whole heck of a lot. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram at JD Pacal. Appreciate y'all for that. Now, with that out of the way, listen, Jordan Travis, we had him on the show. He's that dude. You know he's that dude. I know he's that dude. He's going to be a guy that gets talked about a lot in the preseason Heisman conversation. I know what Jordan Travis is. And that's the fun part about spring games. We get to see a lot from the reserves. I want to see what's behind Jordan Travis. Because same thing, like I said, with the transfer portal, the margins for Florida State are going to be very, very thin. Like for them to achieve what they want to achieve, they can maybe lose one game. I say maybe lose one game. And the nature of football, man, it gives and it takes. And a lot of the time, it's difficult for the way that Jordan Travis plays to go the length of the season without being at least a little bit dinged up. We saw it last year in the Louisville game. Jordan Travis takes a tough hit. Tate Rodemaker, you're in the game. Your whole season at that point in time was depending on Tate Rodemaker. There will be a time, I believe, at this point in time, or with this season for Florida State, where they need something from someone else in this quarterback room. Now, you hope that's not the case. You hope Jordan Travis stays healthy, obviously. But when you jump out of a plane, there's a reason why you don't just have one parachute. And that's what Florida State is preparing to do as they try to make a college football playoff run. So A.J. Duffy, Tate Rodemaker, Brock Glenn, how do they look? Do they look comfortable? If that first parachute isn't able to go, if Jordan Travis does go down again, do they look like they're in command of the offense? The offense doesn't miss a beat. You're still getting through your progression smoothly. You're still able to move the ball downfield on the defense. Again, you hope Jordan Travis can go every single game this year. But by the nature of what football is, you need to have a backup parachute. How do they look? Because you're going to need them to make that college football playoff run, is what conventional wisdom would tell you. Now, this is sort of the overarching thought for me when it comes to Florida State. They finished the year so strong. I mean, essentially, they were a top 10 team at the end of 2022. Strong bowl victory over a better than most people would give credit for Oklahoma team. Organizationally, how does Florida State look? There's going to be the inevitable dose of sloppiness because it's a spring football game. You've been playing against each other. You haven't done as much 11 on 11 in the spot like this with the crowd and with all the excitement and the buzz. It's been behind closed doors. Now it'll be open to the public. There's going to be some sloppiness, but what I really want to see is, does Florida State look like a team that is tuning up or reassembling? And the way that that'll look, if you're reassembling as a football team, you're going to see a lot of procedural penalties, guys that are misaligned. You'll see Mike Norvell freaking out on the sideline, frustrated because you're not controlling the controllables. If you're tuning up, you'll see competitive errors. Holding penalty. Happens, man. Trying to make a play, trying to block for your guy, you get a holding. Drop passes. It's going to happen in the fall, too. You'd like to have a lesser number of those, obviously, but you're going to see some of that. If I see more tuning up than reassembling as a Florida State fan, I feel more assured that, okay, when we hit the ground running against LSU, we're going to be ready to roll. Because we're not having to rebuild this whole car. We're not trying to get ourselves back to a spot where we're ready to accelerate. We're just tuning the engine right now. We're fine-tuning all the issues we have internally, roster-wise, schematically. We're just working out the kinks. When it's time to go, we're ready to go. And that's what you would like to feel like leaving the spring game for Florida State. It's tough to read too much into it. Like I said, I don't want to give any permission to overreact if you see a bunch of issues with alignment and assignment. But I just believe that for Florida State, they have been building to a year like this. They paid Mike Norvell for a reason. Yes, for all the good things he's done. They paid him for the future, too. They paid him to get a lot more than just a solid bowl win. They want to go ahead and win the ACC. They want to play for the college football playoff. And the beautiful part about it is you got Jordan Travis back. You got Jared Verse back. Got some key pieces through the portal. You have every right to believe that's a possibility this coming season. You can set your sights on that. That's not overly optimistic. So for Florida State, some things to watch during the spring game. But I promise you, it'll be a whole lot of fun to watch. It'll be a whole lot of fun to watch. I'll leave it at that. Hey, y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.